Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another interview, and today I have with me Paula. Paula is a Dominican that lives in Europe, more specifically in Belgium. So I brought her on just to get the perspective of a Hispanic that lives in Europe, because we don't hear you guys' perspectives too much. And Paula is also a YouTuber. She does also have a channel called Fundiendo Neuronas. So Paula, welcome. Thank you for doing this interview with me. So to start
Thank
off,
you.
do you want to just give us a little background as to what your channel is about? And I know this is Spanish, right? Most of your videos are in Spanish.
Yes, my channel is in Spanish. I started a month ago. Actually, the thing is, okay, now I have to be really to the point. What I want to do is actually attract more specifically Dominican viewers to open their eyes a bit about the Dominican Republic. Right now, I'm only doing more of entertainment videos because I know Dominicans like that a lot. But the thing is, I want to tell them, like, guys, stop thinking that the Messiah will come. Politicians will do nothing for us. We are the only ones that can build a future for ourselves and our country. And how? By doing, by an entrepreneurship. If you don't know anything about robotics, IT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all that stuff, entrepreneurship and food, you're lost. That's why I want to tell Dominicans, like, you guys are lost in dembow, reggaeton. You all want to be
Tomando
dembocero.
coca todo el tiempo.
Yeah, that kind of things. It's like, guys, we're losing our time. We're not as young anymore, and things won't get better. Tú tienes que ponerte para lo tuyo. That's the thing. Like, we have to build our own businesses, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to tell people, like, I'm not going to give marketing courses and that kind of stuff. No, I'm not gonna teach anyone about personal branding, digital marketing. I'm not going to sell anything. I'm just going to tell them, you know what, in 10 years there will be a shortage of food. We have to invest in that. You know what, like, our parents were brainwashed into thinking that agriculture was something nasty, something, for poor people, algo sucio, and not nasty, but it's like dirty, something dirty, that kind of stuff. You have to work in an office. That's success. And the thing is, like, you have to 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 invest in agriculture, because the big nations like the US and here in Europe, one, maybe not their main source, economical source, is agriculture, but they will never put their food in hands of other people, like the Haitian government has done. Oh my gosh, we're beginning about the Haitians. And in Africa, they import a lot of things, and when they export the primary materia prima, like the primary source. Like, they export cacao, but they don't export chocolate. They don't export added value. And that's what I want to tell Dominicans, like, we have to export also added value. We have gold, we export gold, but we don't export, like, gold stuff, like bracelets and that kind of stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, let's think about that's my channel about.
Okay. So for any Dominicans out there that do speak Spanish and are more interested in learning about this type of stuff, definitely check out Paula's channel out. So
Yeah.
where in Dominican Republic is your family from?
Well, my mom is from San Juan de la Maguana del Sur,
Okay.
and from a campo there, and my father is from Cotuí. So I am
Okay.
cibaeña and
Yeah.
sureña. I was born and raised in la capital, so I'm also capitaleña. So sorry,
Mm.
cibaeña, liceísta en la casa. So
Oh.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I never understand that. Okay, aguiluchos. I'm sorry, I'm liceísta. So yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm
Hmm.
from both regions, but also from La Capital. So I
Yeah.
understand, and I have been a lot to Cotuí and Santiago and Asua and San Juan de la Maguana. So I have traveled a lot, but also my family lives in different parts of the Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I did finally go to El Sur, I guess, like Bani and Barahona and all that for the first time this
Oh,
past trip when I went, because my family's from Bonao, but I now
okay.
have I have my mom's side more in Bonao, and then my dad's side is more La Capital. So those are the
Okay.
two areas I've always been most familiar with. But yeah, I did finally get to visit some other different areas this last trip.
But now
So
you enter the country.
yeah, there's my
You
center.
stop, you buy chicharrón and all that stuff before you head on.
Mm-hmm. So how old were you when you left DR? And did you go straight to Europe? Or did you come to the US at all? Okay.
No. I came straight to Europe. I was 10 and a half, something like that.
Oh, so still pretty young.
Yes. And my other sister, she was 12. Yeah. And the older one, oh my gosh, how old? I don't even know. She was 20, 21, something like that. But that older one of the older ones, she lives in New York. She's been in New York for the past 21 years, something, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what made your family go to Belgium instead of New York or somewhere where most Dominicans go?
Okay. One, for economical reasons, the same reason as your parents and the majority of our parents. One, and two, before coming to Belgium, my mother tried to go to the US, but the visa was denied. You know, it was in the 80s that she tried, but the visa was denied. And during that time, a lot of people came to Europe because it was easier to come to Europe. One, Spain, I think Haniel or somebody told that Latin Americans are the most privileged immigrants in Spain. It's true. Guys, there is no discussion about that. So it was very easy to go to Spain first or Europe. The visa is easier. And then a lot of people went to the US. But in my case, it's just we came to Belgium and that's it. My sister went to the US later on, 4 or 5 years later. She was integrated here, but she was like, no, this is nothing for me. So she went there. And no, actually, it was a vacation. She went on vacation, then she came back, and then she went again. And then she fell in love with a Dominican there. 2 days before she was going to come by, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to ask, so why Belgium and not Spain? Since I would just say because of the language, it wouldn't have been easier to just go to Spain, but instead y'all went to Belgium.
Yeah. A lot of people went to Spain first, and then they went to France, Switzerland, Holland, Belgium. After the crisis in 2008, another exodus from Latin Americans or Dominicans living in Spain to the north in England. But the visa, European, they gave it a visa. It's the first country that gives a visa and all that stuff, that kind of things.
So
that's a good question. That's a good question. That's a good question.
So how is it with the language barrier then? I always think, how would it be going to a country where I do not know the language at all? Because apart from the US, the only 2 other countries I've ever been to is DR and Panama. But because I speak Spanish, it's not an issue. But I always wonder, how is it going somewhere where I just have no knowledge of the language at all? And then for, people your family and stuff that go to these countries where it's totally different language and culture and customs. How is that? Which actually leads into my next question. What were so moving from the Dominican Republic to Belgium, how was that as far as the differences in culture and language and environment? What were some of the biggest differences that you experienced?
The shock was huge, actually, but in the beginning in a positive way. And remember that when you're 10 years old, you're a child. You get used to things very, very fast.
Yeah, that's true.
And you absorb things very fast. So you're living in your child's world and not in a grown-up people, in an adult's world. So in the beginning, it was actually fun. I didn't understand a thing, but after 3 months, I managed to speak and all that stuff. It's you come here to Belgium. I went to Flanders, so they don't speak French because French is a romantic language like Spanish, so they're more close. I went to the Flemish side of the country, but still, you speak in signs like this. I was 10 years old. It's like this. My sister is 12. So that's how it started. And then little by little, I read books. I was in school. I don't know. It goes fast with children. It's not so difficult for children. But yes, I was very positively shocked in the meaning that I saw for first time in my life a tranvía, like like in San Francisco, the little train
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, in the street. I was like, oh my gosh, how cool!
Yeah.
Everything was so organized. Everything was so cold.
Yeah.
The
I bet
first time.
the climate change was a pretty big thing
Yes.
having to
Yeah.
adjust.
Yeah. People were so quiet.
Mm.
Everything was so clean. Yeah. People. The negative thing was to me like, wow, people don't say hello to each other. They cross you and they don't say hello, good morning, or whatever. Um, People were very curious because we were like two new girls in school. So, hey, where are you from? The majority of people didn't know the Dominican Republic. And
Mm.
then you had Audrey, I remember, like, oh, she went to Puerto Plata. Puerto Plata was the hot thing for tourism back then.
Okay.
The majority didn't know the Dominican Republic, but as a child, you get used to it very, very fast, actually. And the shocks were mostly positive, some negative, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the people were very different, actually. But I cannot
Okay.
say that it was a bad shock in general.
Just different.
Just different. You're 10 years old. It's different.
Yeah.
It was different for my older sister, for my mother, but to me and Ellie, my older sister, yeah.
So it sounds like the people there more reserved, I guess, and
Yeah.
yeah, the opposite of how most Dominicans are. And
Yeah.
I think in general, Dominicans tend to be a lot more open and friendly, and they do, if they see you on the street, they'll say hi to you, or they'll yell at you from the other side of the street. So yeah, I'm sure that was quite different.
Yes. Yes, that kind of things you don't see here, no,
Yeah.
or you
Okay.
didn't see back then. It's like, what, man, what? No, no.
Mhm. Yeah.
No, so it's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And so, so as a kid and growing up and being in school, were there a lot of other immigrant children there, or did you guys kind of stand out?
Mm-hmm.
How's the population there? Is it more like whiter people in general, or is it more diverse? How is it? How is it there?
Well, the population back then was different than now. Now you have more diversity, but in general, it's just like it's an European country with a white population. Back then, my sister and I we stood out, and and I remember one Leticia. She was half Cape Verdean, so she looks like us a bit. She, her brother, and the first school that I went to. But you also saw other people like you have a lot of Maghrebi, you have people from northern Africa, a lot of Moroccans and Turkish people in
Okay.
Flanders. In the south, you have more Spanish people, also Greek people and all that. But the majority were, yes, just white Western European people, Belgian. I had like my first best friends were Polish, two Polish, one half Polish girls. I'm talking about 1995,
Okay.
Yes, we stood out, yes, but not in a negative way. People were very curious back then. You also had like one Congolese, one half Congolese child, that kind of stuff. But you saw us. Now we
Yeah.
have more color. Like I have a niece now, my sister's daughter. She's 17 now, and when I see her with her friends, like, oh my gosh, Belgium will become Dominican Republic in 30 years.
Really?
Yes, it's like, wow. You see, so everybody's have this, have that, all her friends. You have Belgian friends, but also she's have whatever, have this, have that. And with them, it's like, because we first generation, we always wanted to know where you're from or your parents or you have this. Now they're like, okay, she's half Belgian, but I don't know where her father is from or her mother is from. It's just like, they don't really ask those questions like how is
Okay.
it in your country, in Angola or Nigeria or Armenia. It's totally different, yes, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I kind of wonder too when it comes to European countries, because I guess I don't know, I just kind of assume, oh, they're just white. Like they're just a bunch of white people in all these countries. But it does seem like, I don't know, man, maybe within the past decade or two, there has been a lot of migration from other countries, be it other European countries or African countries, or even Latin American countries. So I guess their countries are becoming a bit more diverse in that aspect.
Yes, there is much more diversity, much more nationalities here. Like I grew up in Antwerp, and now in Antwerp you have like almost 200 nationalities. 200. Amsterdam, you have also a lot. So the city has changed. Now I'm living in Brussels. I was there in Antwerp 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And every time I go, I see like more color. Yes, when I was a teenager, you had like some. When I was a child, even less. But now you have a lot of, because I moved from Antwerp to Brussels because I like international environment. I like an international environment. I like to work and see people from a lot of nationalities. I don't like to be only with Dominicans and only with Belgians and this. No, I need to be with a lot of people. Like in 2 weeks, I'm having a dinner with friends and ex-colleagues, and it's very diverse. We're like 15 or 10 people, but everyone from a different nationality. So that's the thing that I like. Yeah. But coming back to your question, yes, there's more there are more nationalities now. There's more diversity, and it's different than back then. But still, it's a white American term. It's a white country. It's a European country. That will change because the population here is older. They have less children. So in 30, 50 years, it will be different.
Yeah.
Yes,
that seems okay. That's interesting you bring that up too, because I have heard of that, like in passing, I don't know where, but about some of these European countries having much older populations. And so it does seem like their populations might eventually kind of be changed by all the different nationalities and immigrants coming into their country.
And that's one of the things that the extreme nationalists don't like. Sure. Like we will be replaced by a lot of people. Well, that's the same thing in a lot of countries. Like Europe, here in Belgium, women tend to have 2 children, and when you have people from other nationalities that have 4, you can do the math, and they feel like, hey, wait. And some politicians were like, but we need those people to pay for our pension, because who is going to pay for our pension? So we need them here to work here and all that stuff. So that's the thing. In West and Northern Europe, the population, the autochthonous population is actually decreasing. That's a fact. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so the next thing I kind of wanted to get into is so obviously being in Europe, your perspective when it comes to different things, be it race or however it is, the different social constructs that we kind of live by here in the US, your perspective is obviously different. And you've mentioned before that I guess you get kind of annoyed when you hear some of us Dominican Americans talking about certain things or when it comes to Dominicans and race and this and that. So okay, so what are how can I say, some of the differences, or what is your perspective that you see when you hear us talking about these things as Dominican Americans versus how you view it being a Dominican but that lives in Europe? Like, do you just feel like race and all these things, it just operates differently over there, or like, you get what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I'm wording this question correctly, but
I understand completely what you say. The first thing that the people hear, I mean, it's like, so tigre tan loco, man. Diablo, en serio. No. So because those subjects are not really new to me, because when YouTube came in 2005 and I was in college and all that stuff, me and some Dominicans and people also from West African country or Central African countries, we always used to watch, like on TV, the Fresh Prince. Yeah, we think you guys are crazy. It's like we think not that you guys are crazy. It's like, why do like my partner, my husband, my significant other? He's like, are you going to lose your time with that? Please, come on. So the first time I got I knew about that American race concept stuff was in 1999, the first time I went to New York, to the US, because I'm Dominican and I have family in New York. So I have a niece and my two cousins, a girl and a boy. They were applying to go to a high school, to a particular high school, and you had to apply. That was the first shocker. What, do you have to apply to go to high school? To search in high school, you have to have a grade. Whoa. And then I saw a form. It's 4 digital times. I saw a form. And then they asked like race. I was like race. And then I saw Hispanic, black, white. That I was like, what the heck? And Arab, Middle Eastern. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I asked my niece to explain me about that. And she was like, yeah, you have to mark your race because, that's to protect the minorities and all that. I'm like, what minorities are you talking about? And then she explained me a bit the American system. I was like, what the heck is it? And then I talked to my uncle because it stayed in my mind, like, what the heck is it? He said, es un país de loco. Aquí todo el mundo está loco. Un país de loco. And then he was explaining, like Sammy Sosa in the time of Sammy Sosa Maguire, he, like your cousin, you, everybody's here, Latino or Hispanic. It's a race. I'm like, that's not a race. It's, yeah, here is a race. Like, you have white people and you have black people and you have this and you have that. I'm like, that's crazy. And he said, like, for everything you have to mark race. There is a census, there is a this, there is a that, and you're considered to be the whole same thing. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But I didn't know it was very important besides school and stuff. I didn't know it was very important for people's identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, then Tyra Banks' US top model, whatever thing was
I
on
used to watch that.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of times, like, she asked girls, like, what's your nationality? I'm Jewish and black. What the heck is that? So I had a Congolese friend at the time, and we were like, what the heck, Americans again? That's not a nationality. I'm Jewish and black.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so funny. What the heck is this? I'm black and white. It's like, what the heck is all? What's those questions? What are those questions about? And then we began to understand actually all those videos and all those stuff, and we began to read. I began to read a bit about identity and all. Also because I had work to do in college about identity and nationhood and all that stuff, and I also read about the U.S. identity process and all that. And that's when I began to understand. But it never bothered me because it's like that's the way they view things. That's how they see it, or why not? Because identity in Belgium is based actually on your language. In the Middle Eastern, like in Lebanon, it's based on your religion. Even in Egypt, like in Egypt, in your ID, your identity card, your religion is there, like you're Copt or you're Christian or you're Muslim. So every country in Bulgaria, you are or Jewish or Bulgarian or Turkish or Roma. So to me, it was not a big issue. The problem was when in 2013, 14, after the Dominican sentence, Dominicans began talking about a lot of stuff they don't know about their country or their parents' country. That bothered me a lot because they were talking things about identity and culture, about things they don't know. They don't even know, and that began to bother me. Also because it began to affect our tourism one. And three, also here in Belgium, people with a degree or whatever began to talk about Dominican-Haitian relationship. I'm like, what the heck? You're not even Dominican. You have never been there, nor in Haiti, nor Dominican Republic, and you think you're an expert about that topic. So a lot of people with African ancestry, like from West Africa, Jamaica, wherever, began talking about that with a passion, like they knew. And then you have Dominican York or Dominicans from the US talking about things they don't know. And I hate it every time I read like, yeah, in the Dominican Republic you have like 16 races, everything to not say black. It's like in the cita clara and all the stuff are not races, are descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
When you say like when Dominicans are watching us now and somebody asks, who's talking now? And one will say, La Indiecita. It depends also where you're from, La Indiecita or La Habana or La Trigueña or whatever. The one who's watching will say, she's talking now. But it also depends. Like if you're from El Cibao, you will call me Trigueña. La Capital, they call me Rubia, which doesn't mean that I'm like Rubia, but she's light skinned. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't understand those concepts. And then they will judge and talk about it through their American lens. So that's the thing that annoyed me the most actually. But Dominicans here, they're like, oh my gosh, let those people die in their ignorance. Like, oh, for real. Like when sometimes we want to talk, or the times that I try to talk a bit about that, they're like, no estamos en eso. No. Esa gente con su locura. No. You're not interested in that. So here, for us, that's a non-issue. It's just like no.
Okay.
For people, generational.
Okay, so basically, what bothers you, as far as what you hear us Dominican Americans talking about, is more when it comes to the topic of race and how Dominicans go about their identity when it comes to race, and also the relation or the tensions or whatever with Haiti. Those are the two things that kind of seem to bug you the most. Okay, and so you feel like people are talking about it without really even knowing about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was the thing. I'm like, no. Why?
Well, I mean, I share in your sentiment. As far as I do feel like a lot of times people chime in on the whole DR and Haiti issue, and they're not Dominican or Haitian. They're just kind of going off of things they've seen on social media, things that they hear, whatever, from other non-Dominicans and non-Haitians, and they just continue to regurgitate it without actually taking the time to learn the history in an objective way and being able to see things from both sides. So and that I definitely understand your frustration with that, as I do sometimes feel that way myself.
Oh my gosh, in your country they're killing black people. How come? It's like, what? Or my niece, oh, you guys are making, you're so racist. You kill black people. Whoa. What? Oh, you're killing Haitians there. You're deporting them. Things like that. It's like, what the heck is this? And it has a bit our tourism, because I know some people that were going to have some vacation there and they decided not to go. But at the same time, then you have people like from our or my generation, because I'm 35, and you're like, come on, guys. Like mostly sometimes African. I know a Congolese ex-colleague was like, what the heck? I've been there 4 times. There is no problem at all. So guys, chill. Don't talk about things that you don't know. But I've been having people like from you cannot be in a party or whatever. This is going to sound like very hard, but when the majority is from West Africa, and being a Dominican for the last years, because people will always say, oh my gosh, it depends also of the generation. 35 up 30, but younger people, they're like, yes, they follow social media, they read things, and they believe that. Yeah, sometimes like also second generation children or Dominicans here, they have like that kind of questions. Yeah, like.
Okay, so let me ask you personally, what is your thought when it comes to our kind of either dilemma or whatever when it comes to the subject of race? Because the popular concept is that Dominicans love to deny their African ancestry, which I've been saying for the longest. Okay, y'all, will you come across Dominicans that do that? Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, we were affected by colonialism the same way everybody else was. But I don't like when people make it out to be like the vast majority of Dominicans do this, or like how we're just these completely ignorant fools that just somehow are completely blind to the fact that we have African ancestry in us. When I'm like, I have never heard this from anyone in my family ever. And I do have a lot of darker Dominicans in my family, and I never heard them speak this way. So anyway, what is your thoughts on that? Like, do you think it is an issue or what?
Guys, Dios mío, I'm like, listen to me, por Dios. That's a lie. When a Dominican in the United States of North America says he's not black, what he means is that he is not African American. He's not Black American. Even here in Europe, some people like me have like, what the heck? Why you say African American? It's just American. Say Black American. You are American. You're nothing else. You're just American, the same as a white person. But that's not. When a Dominican in the US says, no, 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 I'm not black. I'm Dominican. He says, I don't belong to the Black American ethnicity. That is what he means. He's not saying that he has no black blood in him. And you know what? The person that explained me that very well was a Black American man. It was like, no, 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 no. Dominicans are not black. They're Dominican. When I was maybe my second time in the US with my sister Ellie again, people didn't believe, Black Americans didn't believe that we were Dominicans because our accent was not Dominican. We did not behave Dominican. We did not dress Dominican. Yeah, so that's crazy. That's why I say, oh my gosh, Americans are crazy. that's why we say that all the time. And no, but when you ask a Dominican here, are you black or you have black blood? Of course, people say yes. But we don't identify with race. That's an American identity social construct. We identify with our nationality. I am Dominican. That's it. And among Dominicans, we say, I'm sureña, I'm cibaeño, I'm from la capital. But it's not really a big thing unless it's about baseball and that stuff. They say it's and that kind of stuff. But we don't identify with race. We have color descriptions.
Okay, I was going to bring that up next. Yeah, because that's what I observed growing up, that it wasn't so much a matter of identifying with a race, but more with a color. So me, while I am racially mixed, people will still call me morena or negra because I'm darker. That is what I grew up with. Like, that was my concept of color or whatever growing up Dominican. Now, of course, within the American system, I know that I will be considered black racially.
Yeah.
But as far as like within the Dominican community or within my family, it was more like a color description versus race.
Yeah. In my family would call you morena, or if they would be to describe it, oh, no, la morena es aquella, es la indiecita oscura, because they know she has like straight. I have an aunt who passed away who looks like you, like the fine features, but her hair was wavy, not even curly. She's like morena, but it's like, no, ya, morena, no es negra tampoco, pero es indiecita oscura. So when you're going to compare, you're going to compare as opposed to, like, for instance, my first day in college was like, oh my gosh, la única negra aquí soy yo. So I am the only black negra as opposed to all those white people. And if I'm in another place, it was like, oh my gosh, o sea, la más blanquita ahí era yo. So these concepts or terms are not strange for Dominicans. And another thing, my sister Ellie, she's lighter skinned than I am, and her hair is less pink, it's more curly, less pinky than mine. And my father calls her what? La negra. One day, my father, negra, and she was like, no, la negra soy yo, no ella, yo la rubia. Like, but because my hair was a little bit blonde when I was a child, I said rubia instead of rubia. So my father gave me that nickname, rubia. So for the first one, she's black, she's la negrita. So my father could not attempt to call another one negra, mi negrita, mi negra, ven aquí. No. It was no. So la negra es la negrita. No extra love for anyone. A lot of people just don't understand. Like, oh, la negra, ven acá, or it's like it's okay. They don't understand because one, they don't speak the language, and two, they don't know the culture. But when they go to talk about that, like they know a thing, come on, it's like I cannot judge about other people's culture. I'm going to give you a small example. It has nothing to do with it, but maybe people from West Africa or Africa that will listen to this will maybe understand, or they understand. Actually, here in Europe, first generation Africans, or the Africans that were born and raised in Africa, they understand our concepts. They have no problem with it. First generation, younger than 30 is a bit different. But like in many African countries, you have a concept that is called la dot. So when a woman is going to marry, the future husband has to give a certain amount of money or whatever to the family.
So kind of
My
like
mom,
a dowry kind of thing.
exactly, a dowry. My
Okay.
mother cannot understand that concept. My Dominican mother, she's like, no, you're selling. It's like, no, they're not selling. They're replacing somebody because that money will help a family to replace the fact they lost a daughter, they lost someone who was cleaning, who was cooking, whatever. And she as well, and sometimes the dowry goes to her, or a part of the dowry goes to her. It's like if she ever divorces or her husband's die, she has something, she has some money, whatever, for her and her family. But for my mother, for those Dominican people here, it's impossible. They don't understand that.
Mm.
It's the same thing as you're marrying a richer man. It's a form of security. So if my mom is going to talk about that concept, yeah, you guys, you sell your daughters, blah, 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 people will be offended because it's like what you're talking. You're talking about the concept that you don't know anything about. It's the same with Dominican identity. We just have one identity. We are Dominicans. And when you say trigueña, indiecita, java, cacuelocrio, and that kind of things, those are descriptions.
Oh my god.
You know, like here, Dominicans, because we are Dominicans, like the father of my niece is called El Mono. He's like Mono, and he has that name on his Facebook and all that stuff. Mono, Mono, and my niece, she's La Monita, and she's very proud about that. She's La Monita, and her brother is El Monito. So Dominicans, that's a thing. Here we're like there, like Mono. No one is offended. She's not offended. She likes that, and she knows where it comes from and all that stuff. It's like whatever. Pinto, pinta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something interesting though, on my live stream when you hopped in the last one, and you said that you feel like some of the bigger issues that Dominicans have, and this is something that I actually have pointed out too in previous video, is that we experience sometimes even more so than racism or colorism, a lot of featureism and like texturism when it comes to like the hair. And like I said, I mentioned this myself because that was more so what I observed too. I feel like even more than color, a lot of times people tend to get very hung up on features and like the shape of your nose and the shape of your face and maybe the size of your lips and all that type of stuff. And I say that because, and I've mentioned this before too on my channel, when I go to DR, ever since I was younger, like people seem to be very fascinated with my nose. I guess because I have a pointier nose, you know? Yeah. And people, they just want to touch it. And I'm like, yo, get off my face, man.
Oh my God. Okay.
You know, so, and you could say, you know, it goes back to some of that internalized European standards of beauty, you know, just how people, the whole pelo bueno versus pelo malo, stuff like that. So I do think that's a thing because that's something that I have observed. So even like you can be the darkest skinned person, like be super black, but if you got those thin features, people will love you. People love that.
Yes. Yeah, obviously, a big thing is like you would be considered more beautiful. Yes, yes. For example, my father, you know, the typical Dominican father, he has a lot of kids. So two first sons, they're actually the carbon copy of each other, but one is negro, black, you know, and the other one is like, he's not white, but he's very light skinned and he has green eyes, blonde hair, but they have the same face and they have the same nose, like a pointier nose. But never, no one said about my brother, Pato, anything about his features and stuff or color, whatever. So there is no issue there because even he's dark, but he has other features. However, in my case, with my nose, girl, like, but every not only Dominicans, everybody's like fascinated by my nose, like, you know, my porky nose. They think like it's like a stuff. Yeah, oh my God. Like, when I was a child, I was like, oh my gosh. So my sister Ellie, the only one with whom I share the father with, she called me porky, nariz de frononón, nariz de pantaloncito. Everyone, why you call me like that? But the thing is, it has also to do with your personality because I don't have a lot of patience, and I called her because she has bigger lips, chembua, narizua. Narisua is made Chambua, Posikua. So, but she never got angry. So when she thought, Narida Fronano, Porky, I used
Gosh.
to get mad, but I would call her or whatever, Kani, you, blah, 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 and she would be like, whatever, you know.
Mhm.
So, yes, futurism is a thing in the Dominican Republic. That's undeniable. That's why when people talk about colorism in the Dominican Republic, I'm like, no, the colorism thing is like, I will not say it's not existent, but it's a futurism. It's actually the shape of your nose. And let me tell you something, Christina, because we have to be honest. It's not only Dominicans, it's everybody, because African themselves as well.
That's something that we mentioned in the last live stream, True, and too, and which was what Truth Teacher, remember what he mentioned. It's like, why do people make Dominicans the scapegoat of colorism and racism and all this other stuff? Like, literally every community within the African diaspora, especially, deals with this stuff. But for whatever reason,
Yeah.
they just allow it to focus on us.
Yeah, exactly. Because like the Somali and the Ethiopian, Eritrean girls, everybody finds it beautiful. And like a Kenyan guy that I know, yeah, that's because they have white people's nose. He's like, no, okay, whatever nose, they don't have white people's nose, they have their own nose, but it's because they have finer features.
Yeah.
And in all cultures, people like that. So the exclusive colorism concept, or just colorism as itself in the Dominican Republic, is mostly inexistent, because you can be the darkest person ever, but if you have like the especially the nose, like the pointy nose, and harmonious features, there's no problem with that. It's like you're beautiful. And then comes hair, but for women, not men, because men can have whatever, because the beauty thing pressure is mostly put on women, not men. Our men don't have to be beautiful. Dominican men don't have the pressure to be beautiful. They have the pressure to be successful and have money.
Yes.
Have money. That thing, but be like, whatever hair, whatever this. No, that's like, okay, that's an extra. But on women, yes. Because like when they say, oh, you on the Dominican TV, you never see black women. It's like, you have black women, but the black women look like you, Christina. Like when Yakareli, she's not on TV anymore, but they have like the certain shape in her hair. You don't care how their hair is, but they have like, like the certain features. You have like a light skinned woman, like a woman like me with my nose and stuff. Maybe now, but it's not what Dominican find attractive. So when they say like, oh, you're more attractive because you're light, it's like, no, the Dominican Republic is not about your skin, it's about your features. And then if you're a woman, okay, your hair as well. It's nice if you have like long, wavy or straight hair. It's considered to be more beautiful than curly or kinky hair. So yeah, so because colorism is, to me, is more in homogeneous ethnicity populations, like in India. The majority of the people look alike, but one is darker, one is lighter. So that's colorism. In the Philippines, in Vietnam, the population is homogeneous. So you have, but one is lighter, one is darker. There you have colorism. But colorism between you and me, not really. It would be more featurism. You know what I mean? Am I explaining myself?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So and then when other people come up and talk about that, it's like, come on, look at yourself. Because JC, my example of the last time during your panel, is like, he's not very dark skinned, but no woman has ever said, oh my gosh, he's so hot. Mm-mm. So I think maybe that's something biological. Maybe, I don't know, but it exists in every, because which actor, this British actor, he's dark skinned, he's half Nigerian. My gosh, I forgot his name. He's very dark skinned, but he's, Dios mío.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba.
Okay.
Come, you put Idris Elba next to JC. The vast majority of women, I have never ever in my life heard any woman say, "Oh my gosh, JC is hot. Oh, I want a light skinned man, whatever." It's not Idris Elba, but look at his features and look at JC's features. Do that. I invite you guys to do that. Like, put a dark skinned man with smaller, pointy features and light skinned man with JC features. Like, for example, we have like Rihanna is a good example. In Dominican society, Rihanna is not really considered a beautiful woman. She's considered to have garbo, presence. She has like attitude.
You said
Attitude.
Rihanna?
Yeah, Rihanna.
Oh,
Rihanna.
okay, okay.
She's like a haba, but she has like very strong features. Like very, she has a broad nose and lips. In Dominican society, she's not really. She has green eyes. That's Dominicans find that to be very pretty. But besides that, and then you put someone like whatever Ethiopian model that you have that is very dark skin, but has a certain type of face and pointy nose, then she will be considered beautiful. So only based on the color in Dominican Republic to be found beautiful now. No. And also those Dominicans, they say Dominicans hate their color, were taught to hate their color. Guys, you don't know what you're talking about. That's BS. That's BS. And it's always like, yeah, when Trujillo, oh my God, Dominican history didn't begin with Trujillo. Stop with that Trujillo thing. They've been romanticizing Trujillo like he was like, come on. Okay.
No, man. I mean, I do think Trujillo did do something to the Dominican psyche as far as color and race goes. Also because of his opposition to Haitians. And that's the other thing that people also bring up, that our wanting to alienate ourselves from blackness comes from wanting to differentiate ourselves from Haitians, because Haitians are seen as the epitome of blackness. So what is your thoughts on that? Do you feel like there's any validity to that?
That's BS. Before the freedom of blacks in the US, I guess, or in Brazil, Cuba, we had already black presidents. Our first three presidents were black. No, that's not true. Pedro Santana was the first, and then we had two Luperon. Oh my God,
Ulysses,
Ulises. Now we have another one. I forgot his name now. Qué vergüenza. Well, whatever. We had three before Horacio Vasquez. The one before Horacio Vasquez was also black. You have three Dominican black presidents in that society back then. So those are those like Haitians remind Dominicans they're black African roots and stuff. Come on, that's BS. We don't need Haitians to remind us that. The problem with Haiti is poverty and and huge immigration and poverty. Back then with Trujillo, I don't think Trujillo did something for, that people promoted colorism. No, because societies back then, all everywhere in the world, were colors in the sense that having a lighter skin gave you status, or like you appear to be from a certain status, even in Europe as well. Europeans like to have a light skin because that meant that they had a good job, or they were always inside of the house. They
So it's
had
very tied in with
yeah,
classism.
exactly. It started with classism. Same thing in Africa and a lot of societies nowadays, like in India, Morocco, and all that stuff. So, I don't think that it promoted racism nor colorism. Another thing, the Dominican Haitian border has always been very porous. You have like 4 checkpoints or 4 things, but in the rest of the country, you should walk over. There is or a river, Massacre, or you should walk. That's a porous. That's a joke. The border is a joke. One and two, it's like during those time, and it is true. A lot of Haitian things were happening in the Dominican Republic. A bit of criminality, the same that is happening right now. So what he just said is like, hey guy, can we fix this? Because he had a very well political relationship with the president of Haiti back in that time. Back in the time, come on. And the thing is like, okay, then he ordered massacre, but he didn't. But think logically, you Dominican Americans there. So did Trujillo order to kill Dominicans, Black Dominicans, or Haitians? Why do you think Perejil was asked? Why? Because in the at the border, Elias Piña, Pedernales, all that stuff, you have like Dominican population, but also Dominican Haitian populations for since day one. They're called Rayados or Arayanos. So some of them are just mixed Dominicans, Dominico Haitianos, or Dominican Haitians, and some of them are just Dominican by second, third, whatever generation, and just Black Dominicans. So when Trujillo goes there and asks you, pronounce Perejil, what was what he wanted to do or not to do? It's like, okay, you're Black as a Haitian, but you're Dominican. But he could have killed all the Black people there. Why did he ask? Why did the soldiers ask Perejil? The same thing happened in Belgium in the 1380 or something. They asked also, oh my gosh, I forgot the word. Here in Belgium, in their fight against from the Flemish and the Walloon, oh my gosh, I forgot. That's so basic knowledge here. They also asked something. The Walloons, the French speaking, had to say, and if it was pronounced badly, they knew, oh, you're a Walloon or you're a French person. You're not one of us. Is to make that difference. That's a tactic that is used a lot in wars and that kind of conflicts. You want to know who's your enemy. If you wear uniform during the battles, those are the Germans, these are the French, those are the Americans. But if you're just wearing regular clothes, I need to know who you are. And Perejil was a tactic used to differentiate Black Dominicans and Haitians from the border. That's the thing. What he did was, would I say that it was good? Of course not. Of course not. That's like a taint in our history, but that's Trujillo, not Dominicans. That was Trujillo, his government, not regular Dominicans, not you, not me, not our parents. And I cannot say anything about Trujillo because that hijo su maldita madre that must be burning in hell. It took land of my family, my both sides, my grandparents. And my father joined the army to not be killed. He joined the army during the times of Trujillo to not be killed because he took the wealthy things of my grandfather, and then he made my grandfather a capataz. Like he was like the one who worked for Trujillo. Like his ground, you take all these parcelas and all that stuff. He took it, and then my grandfather had to be there. And my father, those people were against Trujillo, of course. Then a cousin of his mother, he said to my family, like, he has to join the military, otherwise he will be killed. Why? Because
Wow.
you've been talking that and that and that and that. They had a lot of cahier. You've been saying this and this and this and this and this. You're talking about that, you will be killed. My grandfather was like, no, my son will not join that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you choose. He will be killed or not join the military. And his mother was like, no, 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 my son is going to the army. So my father joined the army. And not the same story happened to my mother's side, but a lot of Dominicans, we have like we lived a lot of pain under Trujillo. People like to think like, oh, Haitians are Black Dominican. No, 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 no. He was a dictator. He was a dictator. That's the thing. So what he did to Haitians was bad. It weren't that 100, like not even 1,000 people. Sorry, you know why? Because of the population. Even one person is too much. But when I read things or hear people say, yeah, 150,000 Haitians were killed, it's like, come on, go today there and see the population. It's impossible to have killed so many people. It's impossible in 2 days or 3. That's one, and 2, the population at the border. Come on. So people have romanticized that. What he did again was bad. No Dominican defends that has ever defended that ever. But I think that we people have to be a bit objective about some historical facts.
Wow. I always find it very interesting when I do find other Dominicans or Dominican Americans, especially that they do tend to romanticize and glorify Trujillo. I'm like, y'all have no idea, man. Like, and they bring up, that the country was doing better economically, blah, 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 the infrastructure, which, okay, yes, those things did happen, but does that outweigh the atrocities that occurred under his reign,
A lot of atrocities occurred, but I think I have something from my parents, and that's I can't stay objective. Like even my father, because if we're going to talk about Balaguer, he was also persecuted by La Banda Colorada de Balaguer. Like that's also a drama, because they accused my father of communism and all that. So, but what my father said is like, actually, it was better. The society was more organized. There was an organization. There was, in comparison to now, less poverty, in the sense that we had lesser money, but there was an organization. There was some problem, like electricity problem back then, that we still have, but it was less in comparison. So, okay, we cannot compare the Dominican society of the 50s, of the 40s to now, but if you compare it, it was better. It was the better administration. There was a lot of corruption as well, but some people glorify. But I think what they glorify was la mano dura, like there was order, law and order. A lot of atrocities as well, of course, but that's what they glorify. Like, okay, we're going to do this, and this is the way, ta ta ta. Like now, you only see like corruption and se me fue la palabra de nuevo. There's no persecution of corruption. The thing, like there's corruption and that's it. So they glorify la mano dura, but Trujillo did the most crazy things, a lot of atrocities against the majority of Dominican families.
Yeah.
If you were with him or against them, and if you were against them, he will disappear you. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's why, let me tell you something Dominican Americans do there. I know. You can cut this, Cristina. Yo puedo sonar un chini que arrogante y vaina, pero no, es relajando. Okay, Dominican Americans, you know why? Have you ever wondered why some Dominicans name, her name is like Paula, but her nickname would be Rocío. Do you know? Like a lot of Dominicans like Rocío, and then her real name is like Isabel. It's like, why? Because during the time of Trujillo, when they came knocking on your door, knock, 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 does Luisito Perez live here? You would be like, Luisito? No. Yes, he's blah, blah. No, here lives Armando Perez. When they would come say, hey, does Armando live here? No, Luisito. So that's why Dominicans, a lot of the Dominicans, have like those two names, like name and then a nickname. Yeah, sometimes like that nickname has nothing to do with his.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, like your name is like Justina, but people call you Enercida. I was like, what the heck is this? That's
so it's like a way to protect yourself basically from getting found.
Yeah, because people had like 3 names, and the name of the day of your birth was one of them. But that nickname, like Miguel instead of Jose Luis, it was a tactic. Like, no, Miguel, no, my son's name is Jose Luis, so you're talking about somebody else. And if they would come with a nickname, we would say, no, my name's son is this. So that's fine. Okay. So Dominican Americans, you have learned something about your country, the country of your parents.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I mean.
Estoy relajando, Cristina, estoy relajando.
No, I know.
It's like,
I know. I feel like it's just kind of inevitable in a way because, we grow up in the American society and we're subjected to the racial and social pressures and institutions of America. And then it's like we kind of either subconsciously or consciously try to apply that to Dominican society. And it doesn't always fit.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I understand that 100% because we all live in different frameworks. My framework is shaped by the fact that I grew up here, also in a white European society, I but Europe is very diverse. That's one, and two, around even if my framework was mostly white European, the majority of people are here like that. I had also friends and colleagues from everywhere in the world, and then I understand their worldview, and but here it's like, okay, you understand it, or you're like, oh my god, those people are crazy, whatever. But in the US, but people, when you're on the outside, you can see some things more clear a bit in the sense of what people there don't understand in the US is minorities that same system with the one they are or have been oppressed, they're using to oppress other people. Like if the white man says, um, black American people are strong, then this black American people will say, you black American, you're also strong. And if he says, no, I'm weak. No, 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 no. For the black man, you are strong. And they will try to change to oppress you, changing your own worldview. I don't know if I make myself understood. But the thing is that yes, but for the white man, you're this. For the white man, you're that. So you're not thinking for yourself. You're defining yourself by the views of that system. So in that case, I understand. You are living in a framework, so you have to you live and you see and you breathe everything you see in that system, and that's okay. But when are going to talk about other system, please take your glasses off and go into that other system that you want to criticize and learn what you don't understand. That's why a lot of but some of them just go to some countries and they just take notes of things they see. They don't make valid judgments. They just see like, okay, in country X, girls who are 13 years old marry guys who are 25 years old. They just take notes. So you guys, when you see other cultures, try just take notes and then understand. Not like from your framework, other cultures. That's the thing.
Okay, Paula. Well, thank you for explaining all of this to us. I think it was good to hear your perspective as, again, a Dominican that does not live in the United States and that does live in a different country, and just to hear your opinion as to, the certain racial or cultural issues that we as Dominicans face. So, to everyone listening, if you want to check out Paula's channel, again, it's called Fundiendo Neuronas. I'm going to put the link to her channel in the pinned comment and in the description box. Okay. And if you have any questions for Paula, please also feel free to leave them in the comment section below. So, again, Paula, thank you for joining me. And
Thank
I'll check
you.
everyone else later.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Gracias.